Hi, I haven't set up my camera properly, but you're just gonna have to deal with that because I'm not gonna be online for too long. Well, I've got a bit tubby and I. Maybe that's just no. I was gonna say maybe it's just the angle of the camera, but I think I've got. It's fine. We'll sort it out at some point. I've been doing quite a lot of exercises and running, but a lot of like push-ups and weights and stuff. I've probably oxbonded as well. Oh no! Oh no! It's getting old, getting flabby. Just it's all going wrong. But hello, hope everyone is doing well. Why am I streaming at a really weird time? Well, I'm off to a board game conference in a minute. It's actually just down the road from my house, but I'm going to be drinking and playing board games for most of the weekend. And because of that, it's probably going to, affect some of the videos over the weekend. I'm going to try and get a really cool foreign war law thing out later today. I say try to, Zin's already completed it. I'm going to get a second part of it out to Sunday probably. I'll try and get a news video up on Saturday covering some bits that's happened throughout the week and any new things. So, I mean, things we can talk about today as well. Obviously, we've got 3.17.4. That's going to be instead of 3.18. In short term for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, we've got the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo itself, probably starting on the 18th of November. Paul Jones, who was the art director at Klein Imperium, is leaving. It's his last day today, I believe. He was fantastic for the project, so I think his loss is big and a shame. I do think they obviously can replace him with someone else going to leave. So it seems that he's literally just gone, I've been at CIG for 9 years. Now I'm advancing my career because I've got to the job where I can go now. I need a challenge now. Finished a large portion of the sort of projects that he was in to finish. We can talk about a bit about that. But I do genuinely think it's a shame for the project. I'm not going to be like, this is great for the project. Like, I like Paul Jones. I think he's a great guy. Talked to him a few times in real life. He's really spoken, calm, and really quite a good chap, and very talented, clearly. Worked on a lot of different star citizen ships and vehicles and game art. So, and he was a very genuinely talented. Does Britain have a stable government right now? No, and we haven't since little Weasel Cameron ran away after calling the Brexit referendum vote. I don't expect you to get political, but I think that's an accurate statement. So it's a bit of a shame. We don't have a prime minister at the moment. We don't know who it's going to be. It might go back to Boris, who was previously prime minister, then was unprime ministered, and they may be now re-prime ministered because Liz Truss. I don't know what's going on. It's going to be fine. Don't you worry. If you live in the UK, it's always going to be okay, whatever. Just make sure that you appropriately vote when there is an election, whatever you think. And don't other people tell you otherwise? But listen to other people, obviously. That's probably sensible. Listen to their opinions and their thoughts. Try and understand them if they have very different opinions or kind of vote for someone different to you. It's nice to understand them. Go, okay, that makes sense. That's why you want to vote for these people. And this is why I'm going to vote for. You can tell them who you want to vote for if you want. You don't think it's going to start an argument. I'm very chill when it comes to sort of other people's political wants and needs. BoredGamer for PM. I'd be a terrible PM. I am very erratic as a person. I'm bipolar, so that can obviously cause some issues. But I appreciate the kind words. To be honest, the current way it's going, I've got a chance to being PM. It'll get round to me eventually, right? So, if you'd like to ask a question during the live stream, question in brackets, and that'll allow me to pull it out. I am going to dash off at some point, just because I want to have a quick drink, get packed, and then go to this board game conference. I'm playing Terraforming Mars at 2 p.m. with some of my mates, and we're doing it with all the expansions. People play Terraforming Mars before. I've got Ark Nova with me. Is Terraforming Mars as a zoo, basically really cool game. I never played it before, but I've read all the rules and watched the videos on the rules so many times now. I think I could explain it to other people super accurately. What else? Anything else important I want to talk to you about my board game? Oh, I just love it. I get to play board games, get to have some drinks. It's a good laugh, and it's close to my house. But Stephen Barley, thank you very much for resubbing. That's very appreciated. Becoming a YouTube member with the join button underneath my videos and streams. So how's everyone doing? Hope you're all right. If you don't vote, you have no right complaining. People can still complain and not vote. It's their right, their choice. I say, I go, we should have voted, shouldn't you? If they're complaining about something, but you can. It's not mutually exclusive. You're allowed to. You're allowed to complain and vote, but you should also say, I probably should have voted. Do you know what I mean? Don't know it. Love board games. Oh, Ark Nova. Yeah, check out Ark Nova. It's a cool little zoo builder. It's pretty cool. It's semi-competitive, is the way I describe it. Because you don't have to play with any sort of PvP in it at all. There's obviously a winner based on score at the end, but you can play with there's cards basically that go, you do something nasty to someone else. But if you want to play a PvP version, there's an ability underneath that says, well, if you're playing non-aggressive or non-PvP, do this ability instead. And it's like, oh, actually, cool, this works. There's what the other things. At the moment, I'm painting some Cthulhu Death May Die models. Cthulhu board game. It's got loads of them on my desk. I'm waiting for my paints to arrive because at the moment all I've done is prepared them for slap chop. Slap chop painting, fantastic, easy way to paint that I could probably teach to like a child. Pretty cool. Right, so Star Citizen-y stuff. Paul Jones is leaving, so we know that Paul Jones has posted up on his. Make sure there's nothing horrible on Twitter because Twitter does not censor things very well. Paul Jones is posting up that after nearly 9 years at CIG, he's leaving, and he's going on to something new. He basically talks about that he loved the work he was doing there. He's experienced and sort of learned so much, and and then he talks about Star Citizen is now well underway. Many pipelines built, the team's cranking. But now it's an opportunity for someone else to step in and advance ships to the next level, adding fresh thinking and enthusiasm to keep community engaged and the internal artists motivated. Staying motivated is tricky, but you know what's also hard after all this time, after doing the familiar, knowing the people sitting at my desk in my home working day in, day out, embracing change. So I think that one of the things is I feel that potentially Paul Jones didn't want to go back to the office. I think a lot of people are in that sort of mindset, but also just general change. I do think he's a loss to the project because he was art director. He was very talented. He's been with the project for so long. So I wish him good luck, and we'll try and work out exactly. We'll do probably a breakdown of it tomorrow in a bit more detail. He was involved in a lot of stuff. You can go and see the projects he was involved in at pauldavidjones.com. So Star Citizen wise, see the Tumble Rangers there. You can see the Gatak Rylan. The Rangers. Got the look at this giant Kraken boy. And you got the Argo SRBs. You got the Idris and the Crusader Ares. You got the Gladius. You got what isn't even this Vulcans. Forgot this picture existed. Loads of stuff, loads and loads of ships and vehicles, and obviously motivating all the other teams and sort of getting all the feedback from them and sort of advancing them and telling them what's what. Actually, his website is a wealth of stuff. A load of origin ships and vehicles and look at all this stuff. Wolf UK, thank you very much for the money. Very much appreciated. I love donations. The only way out for CIG should be through the mouth and stomach of a giant sandworm. And I assume you mean the arsehole. That's what we meant, wasn't it? You have to go all the way through the sandworm. Otherwise, it's not immersive. Do we know when the Spirit series are released? Board actually said next year. I think. I would expect it next year. It is a smallish ship. It's relatively simple to get in-game, especially the C1 and the AE1. And I suppose the E1 is actually simple to get in-game, but its mechanics are a bit more complicated. And they like to take concepts all the way through the pipeline where possible when they start them. So I think that's what they try to do. I'm excited to see how the Corsair stacks up against the Constellation Aquila and the 400i. So let's have a look on the ship matrix, how they actually stack up against each other. So 400. God. So many ships now. Oh my god. So 400i. What other ships did you just say? And the Constellation Aquila, that's near the beginning. You see it? Aquila or the Cutlass? I think it is. It is. Aquila. And then, is it Aquila or Aquila? Or Aquila? Aquila. And then, what's the other one we're looking for? We're looking for the Dewberry Boy. And the Corsair. Where are you, Corsair? Going to be after the Vanguards. After the Endeavour? Yes, after the Endeavour, isn't it? I'm looking at... This is what I'm looking at. Looking at the ship matrixy boy. And I can't remember exactly where the Corsair is. Have we gone past it? Who knows? Promise if anyone calls out, I've gone to it. There we are. So, the lengthwise, they're about the same size. Yeah? Except the... okay. So the Corsair is much taller, effectively. So it's multiple. It's got more decks. So same sort of length and width, but twice the height. Over twice the height. Okay. So that's sort of worth knowing. Less cargo capacity on the ship matrix for the compared to the Aquila. However, that might have significantly changed. Okay, that's good to know. Will you wait for the crushing recession that occurs next and buy a new home in 2024-2025? I'm going to be looking at houses next year, and I'm going to be sensible based on inflation and interest rates. I don't mind if I have to. I'm staying where I am for another year. What's the next ship you're looking forward to, and why is it the Corsair? I mean, obviously, the Corsair is coming out with the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo with 3.17.4. That was confirmed. So, yeah, it is the ship I'm most looking forward to next. It's an exciting multi-crew, multi-role exploration ship. So I think it's going to be pretty cool fun. I think it's sort of fair to say. I'm also looking forward to anything new, and we will have some new stuff, at the IAE this year. Did you notice during Chris Roberts' post on CitizenCon, the talk there, the only time he got a little flustered and shushed someone was when animals were mentioned? Yes, that's probably more because they don't want to talk about them properly yet because they're working on some cool bits. Possibly a surprise coming sooner than they thought. Wishful thinking. It's probably they want to show something off in a reveal, maybe like even next year. Can't wait for Jax again. Yes. So we're expecting some more Jax McCleary videos. So it's Space Jeremy Clarkson with 3.17.4 in the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. He went off to the Pyro system potentially, using the Misk Odyssey, which is obviously a concept ship. So looking forward to seeing what he got up to. And they're very cool, the Jax McCleary videos. I can't wait till the Spirit series gets a Frankenstein upgrade and a balloon ups to a frigate-sized ship. Hopefully they'll stay the same size. They're pretty good now at keeping the concepts relative to the final designs. So typically much less in the way of reworks or resizing and that sort of stuff. Sketch Therapy, I love you. You're a beautiful boy. As a Yusuketo, obviously. Sketch Therapy's a mod. You get some extra love. Any guesses on how and when Nyx may come? 2023 question mark. So I wouldn't expect it too far after Pyro launches. So you have 4.0, part of the 4.x branch. Almost certainly have Nyx, and I would expect Nyx maybe 2 to 3 quarters afterwards. That would be my sort of optimistic expectation. Like, Nyx and Pyro are both being developed at the moment. Nyx is a lot more simple than Pyro. Do you think it's a coincidence that all the main Star Citizen people moved over to Star Citizen, and then all these things started happening with the leadership of the country? Lol. I think it might be a coincidence. Hey, Bored. Glad to catch you live. Loved your content, viewers. Thanks for everything you do and keep it up. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. But Fadrus. Oh my god, I cannot say your name. That is but thank you. Which board games do you play most when you can? So Endeavour is my favourite game. I don't own a copy, but my mate Mike does, and he's bringing it to the board game conference. It's called Shake, Battle and Roll. If anyone wants to, and we do it like twice a year. It's quite a big one in Southampton. It used to be called StabCon South, but now it's Shake, Battle and Roll. Very cool. I'm pretty much into all board games. Really enjoy the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective and the Cthulhu version of that. Manchester Madness is fantastic. Dead of Winter is fantastic. But I'm pretty much into any board game. Sit down, play a lot of Root and things like that. I'm not a fan of 1v1 board games. I don't like that form of competition. I'm fine with three players all competing against each other. I'm fine with co-op games, but I don't like 1v1s. It's a weird one. What do you think about the future of base building as described so far? Really looking forward to it. I like the fact the Pioneer's expanded into like a more of a factory building ship that will assist you build bases, but you don't need it to build bases. It sounds like base building is hugely expanded from the original ideas. It'll allow you to sort of exploit resources, store your stuff, potentially craft. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Obviously, we'll probably get land claims before base building, or at the same time as very early base building. The Rastar system is what Cloud Imperium used to place modular outposts and things like that, but that's going to evolve into our base building tool eventually. 3.17.4, and we're expecting to turn up between now and sort of the 18th of November. 3.18's release date is expected early to mid December. Do you think when Squadron 42 releases, all the effort will then be shifted to the PU or starting in the making of Episode 2? A large portion of the focus should be on the PU, at least for a while. Obviously, they are going to want to work on Episode 2. I would expect that the narrative team will heavily get to work on that and the planning out of that and that sort of stuff. They're not mutually exclusive. The studio's massive. Like, they've just started to get all of their employees back at the new studio. They're still building floors at their new studio, but there's hundreds of people going back into work. And when they're expanding that out to, I think, up to 1,200 in their UK studio now, which is ridiculously, that's a ridiculous amount of people. Any news or ideas about the supposed medical Pisces? We'll have to wait and see. I love the idea of a search and rescue Pisces. It makes sense, right? Having just a very low tier single bed to grab someone or keep them stable until you can get them to Bennett medical facilities, or to use sort of like a field medic station. Do you think there will be a rethink of the trade system and station-wide pricing? Yes, I think they will evolve the economy, tie it into the dynamic economy. There will be robust contracts for players and things like that. But also, do you think our cargo will ever be safe from game crashes? Yes. With persistent entity streaming, it should be more safe, and in the future, it will be. We won't have crashes in the same way because there'll be redundancy. But persistent entity streaming, one of the things it does is store snapshots of the server, so data is never truly lost anymore. It's no longer volatile. So they released a new, previously unannounced buggy. When do you think we will get the trio of motorbikes? People pledged 4 years ago. So you're talking about the Tumble Rangers. I think people are very excited for them. They will fit them in when they can. There's obviously other ships that are much older, like the Endeavour or the Abandoned Merchantman, things like that still haven't come out. I think they do want to do a bit of an upgrade to the ground physics, and then they'll probably get the Tumble Rangers out. When do you think they'll start the white box and the Kraken? I think they've done some of it already. I think that when they built the Kraken out, they'd done some of the white box. Now, it might need to get a bit reconcepted and evolve from that, but we played Space Base board game. I'm not sure if I played Space Base. It's like Catan. Okay, I'll check it out. Touching on what you said about Jax, do you think they'll start on the Odyssey soon? I think in 2024, we're going to see a focus on exploration and exploration ships. With the STV in-game, will we see roads and new vehicle physics implemented? So they are building new vehicle physics, new ground stuff, and they are working on roads. Rivers are sort of part of that as well. Do you think there is a size gap missing between medium-size Corsair Connie and large ships Carrack Odyssey? Not necessarily. I think the problem is if the ships in between those sizes don't actually have much, wouldn't have much more. They'd have like an extra room. When do you think we will get more ballistic ammo? I think that they will tweak and balance that sort of stuff once we have physicalized components. So resource system, physical components, and then a balance of actual ship combat. Because obviously they're working on other things at the same time with the differences with quantum control mode and standard control mode, the sort of travel versus combat modes. I think all of that coming together, then they go, well, now it's balanced a lot of this stuff. How ballistics actually going to work? Because you need to balance ballistic ammo per weapon, really, and then have, well, can you reload on the fly? You have to go out of your ship and actually take ammo to it. Are there auto loaders? Can you store stuff? When do you think we can build our own base? I think that they could have something to show us at next year's CitizenCon. When do you think white box will begin for the Kraken? I think they've already done some of it already, but I think they'll get the Banu Merchantman potentially finished next year, and then I do think they want to get the Kraken done. I think it makes sense for having it in the pirate system. It makes sense for having it as a ship that spawns as pirate bases and sends out pirate fleets, and it's like a big sort of thing to fight. So, are you worried about the lack of spawning medbeds on exploration vessels like the Connie and Corsair? Different types of exploration for different types of thing. So shorter range exploration vehicles, not so worried about, because you can probably get away with just meds, and maybe there's some medical items that you can place that have very limited function. It's the long range expedition ships which need medical beds, like the Carrack, like the Odyssey. What concept shit are you most excited for? I am assuming you mean ship. Hopefully you mean ship. Most excited for concept ship wise. Probably the Pioneer, just because I want base building. I love the look of the Perseus. I love the idea of that brawler sort of size of ship. The Orion obviously is giant, a mining vessel. That's pretty exciting. I mean, I want everything to come together. There's so many ships that I sort of love. What is the biggest problem causing poor FPS frames per second, and what tech is going to solve that? So, frames per second wise, there's going to be too much stuff going on the screen. The server / your client loading in too much and not culling enough, and general lack of optimization. So things that will help this in the short to mid term, Gen 12 renderer stuff that's coming, Vulkan integration, and then optimization. Server meshing, kind of part of that optimization. I know it's not really directly related, but the server could cull stuff a lot better. So it doesn't need to be sort of going on. It doesn't need to be rendered on your client or anything like that either. Do you think that we will get more game package options after the expo? During the expo, yes. And potentially afterwards if there's new starter things. What is PvP going to look like in regards to bases? We don't know. So I'm hoping that base PvP is something that you would want to do because you're fighting an org at Pyro. So you're in Pyro, you're at war with two orgs are at war. And they are trying to displace each other over sort of valuable asteroids and things there. Now, how do you actually push an org out? Well, you have some wars with them, then you need to find their bases. Why would you want to find their bases? Because that's what they're using to resupply themselves for repair, rearm, refuel. Yeah? So there's sort of like crafting going on at those bases or their storage facilities or whatever. So if you destroy those bases, then they have to go elsewhere for rearm, repair, and refuel, and you've basically pushed them out of the system or made it very expensive for them to continue a war. That's what I want to see. Now, when it comes to actual gameplay with that, thank you very much, BoredGamer. Thank you very much for the Prime sub. That is very much appreciated. Followed and then subbed. That is a beautiful thing. And Sketch Therapy, thank you very much for being a member for 17 months on my YouTube, boys. It's a pleasure to be of service, sir. You star. Look at this. Look at these people. Thank you. Paragons of my community and the community at large. I can't remember what I was talking about. Probably something to do with bases. So bases are an interesting one because we don't know when it comes to sharding. If there's multiple shards, and there will be at least at the start with, do bases persist on all shards? Are they interactable on all shards, or are they only sort of accessible and interactable on one? Or does that mean that you can't attack bases unless they're on the active shard for that base? So that's a bit complicated and confusing. We don't know exactly what's going to go on with that. Because obviously they need to persist on all shards because that's where you built your base. So that's an interesting one. What sort of form of base defenses will we have? Well, bases destroyable or takeoverable or both? Do you know anything about crafting? So, crafting-wise, we know there's going to be crafting to some extent in-game. We know we're going to be able to exploit resources. We know that there are factory nodes which will basically convert resources into items that are sold in-game from the sort of server side and the dynamic universe side. We will have some level of being able to create things. So, obviously, fuel, obviously, things like drugs and stuff. The Endeavor will allow you to do some science and make some compounds and things. I'm hoping and expecting for us to be able to do rearm, repair, and fuel, all that sort of stuff ourselves. I suppose you know that we can salvage stuff and make repair compound and to actually repair ships and things. So it's the rearm aspect of munitions and stuff. Will we be able to craft sort of ships and that sort of stuff? I got some unwanted spam. So yeah. Never fight in a space suit? Right, as long as it's your own brand, it's fine, isn't it? What kind of gameplay or tasks are planned to keep players busy drawing longer quantum jumps? So there's going to be stuff to find in space. So you'll be able to see signals, you'll be able to get distress calls. There's going to be stuff to do on your mobi-glass. You might want to check prices of stuff. You might want to see the news. There's going to be loads of like mini games and sort of stuff you can do on apps and stuff like that. So there'll be a lot of time wasting. But there's also going to be ship maintenance and damage control. Do you agree with Sig's excuse of why the Spirit doesn't have a second entry when ships are comparing? So yeah, the Spirit has only got the ramp and the rear of it as an entry exit. It makes sense because that's what they said they wanted to do with it. You know, one of the things with this ship is it's quite small and it's quite long and straight, and it doesn't make sense for it to have multiple exits. That's one of the downsides of it. Will CIG start implementing credit unions on their ships? I want to buy a capital ship with no money down and a 72-month repayment. I think you're about to rent stuff like that. You're about to potentially rent or borrow off other players and things like that as well. And there might be missions where you can sort of crew them. And that's what I'm really looking forward to in the future. So I want missions where I am just crew on bigger ships. So I have NPC ships where I'm a gunner on a javelin. Things like that. Wouldn't that be cool? Fantastic for tutorial and starter missions as well, or to make money if I've lost all my ships for some reason. Right, I'll BRB because I need to do bio. Hello. Ooh. So yes, 3.18 obviously delayed. We sort of knew it was going to be delayed just because they were unable to fit 3 months into a month. They said it's going to be 3 months testing cycle, but we're getting it out mid-November. What? Doesn't make any sense. So I thought it was originally going to be cut down. Me and Zin did suggest that 3.17.4 might be a thing in our podcast. It turns out that it was. So what else we got here? I know you love Xenothreat. Any idea when it's coming back? Probably before the end of the year. Well, okay, let me be more specific. I would expect them to, after 3.18 launches, to have Xenothreat soon after again. Because I think that's what they're waiting on before they run it again. So maybe end of sort of mid to end December, maybe January. I originally thought it was going to be a bit early if they got 3.18 out, but are we still thinking 3.18 in 2022? That's what Cloud Imperium is saying. Let's hope they can do that. I still think that it might not have all the features in 3.18.0. I think there might be a 3.18.x patch that adds some more to it. But I think they can get persistent entity streaming, salvage, and a good amount of the content there. 3.17.4, beyond the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo content and some general bug fixes, we could see, well, we know we're going to see the Corsair, but we could also see things like the Grey Cat buggy racetrack. Yeah. We do know that the Vulture won't be in 3.17.4. That's going to be in 3.18 to coincide with Savage, but we'll probably be able to look around the Vulture at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. There's some questions here about Evocati leaks, which I can't discuss. Sorry. Do you think that race kart thing looks slow? You think it needs to be faster or give cars limited nitro? I like the idea of cars having boost. Will the new underground hangars serve as protection for your ship? Because it will go underground. So when you're talking about underground hangars, you're talking about the underground facilities. I do think there will be some way of storing your ships at bases. I would hope that they would provide protection. What else have we got? Do you think the cargo refactor gameplay will end up time-consuming the little reward? So, in 3.18, the cargo refactor might be very small tangibly. It might just be the physicalization of commodity cargo, but it will eventually lead on to, at the very least, in the near term, times for loading and unloading, utilizing the tractor beams for cargo loading and unloading with much larger cargo, and things like the raft and big boxes being moved off with sort of tractor beams, ship scale tractor beams, lots of stuff, and then loads of sort of cargo gameplay. But 3.18 initial might not have a huge amount of tangible new gameplay with cargo. Do you think it is too late for the Corsair to get a medbay? I think it's unlikely to get a medbay. It could be modular in the future, and there might be items in general that you can place on ships that give very limited sort of medical features. Do you think we could get an outpost builder such ship/ground vehicle then? I think we could see ground vehicle base builder / maintainer. What kind of gameplay or tasks are planned to keep players busy during? That's what we talked about already. We talked about that. How will small orgs be able to compete with the likes of Test, Evilorg, and the Corporation, the massive orgs? So there needs to be organization cap sizes, for sure, or taxes or something they get as they get larger and larger. Obviously, Eve caps orgs sizes out, and then you have alliances. So obviously, smaller orgs would be able to compete with larger orgs by allying themselves to other orgs and making a coalition. But I do want max sizes for guilds, for orgs. Otherwise, it's madness. The Spirit needs a freelancer style side entry. I think it would benefit from one, but I don't think it needs it. I think they're allowed to say, look, this style of ship doesn't have it. That's one of its downsides. Or perhaps you could rent space on someone else's space. Yeah, and that's the sort of thing that might be a thing. What stops someone from nuking my little base if I'm unsupported by an org? So if you're in UEE territory, it will be illegal to do that. The UEE will come and defend and protect you. They have to find your base first as well. So if you're in like the Wild West, like Pyro, they'd have to find your base, and then you can obviously build defenses and potentially have NPCs protecting it as well. But I think finding someone else's base is going to be pretty hard. Will there be different levels of crafting, like handcrafting, table crafting? I believe so. That there is. That was the suggestion in game. There are like workbenches. But Cal and PM have not talked too much about it. Do you use a voice over IP in game? Sometimes, very rarely. But I will start to do it a bit more. Yeah. So a while ago it was very erratic VoIP, but now it's a lot more consistent. How about the Drake Corsair? Really looking forward to it. It's coming in 3.17.4. Do you have any predictions for the 3.17.11 patch? Nice. Well, is there anything you greatly disagree with CIG doing recently? I think it's a shame that Paul Jones is leaving. I wish they had been more appropriate with timeframes on 3.18 and talking about Actually, a 3.17.4 is a very viable option for us if we can't get 3.18 done in time. Gameplay development, sort of general game development is slow, but that's expected, but still disappointing. I don't like the hiatus on Inside Star Citizen. I would like them to continue Star Citizen and just do some different stuff. I think they've got more than enough to talk about. If I can produce a video a day on Star Citizen, they can do an Inside Star Citizen every week without a hiatus. And if Jared needs a rest, which he is entitled to and deserves, then get someone else to do a different series thing that's Inside Star Citizen like or news like during that time. That's just my opinion on that. Like, you don't have to agree with it. You have to agree with anything I say, I suppose. Greetings all. I'm looking forward to 3.17.4. Here's hoping the medical elevator on Grimhex is fixed. So with 3.18, I'm worried that all medical elevators will be clogged up with people's gowns. I have a solution. I think medical gowns should not be dropped when you discard them. They should be instantly destroyed. Yeah? Or they instantly get removed when you leave the hospital, and they were just hollow gowns, protecting your modesty through hollow technology. Yeah? Either of those options are fine, because I don't want medical gowns everywhere. Alternatively, have a mission that has you collecting medical gowns to get some money. Then people just go, nom them all up. Do you think we may get animals, flora, fauna with the launch pyro? It's possible. So things like the Starwhal on Crusader, they're relatively easy, in my opinion, for them to do now because they can just have them in the background, just like they're effectively asteroids that just move around. Yeah, the first iteration. We know they're working on the pyro crab and things like that, and the cypherpods and space cows. So it's possible to have some very simple, or some of the fauna they've been working on. They're definitely going to have a lot more flora. When do you expect to see the Origin X one? When they can fit it in? I don't think it's a particularly high priority for them. However, racing is becoming more and more of a sort of like a hot thing. So sooner rather than later now. The C1 will have a tractor beam for cargo. Do you think they should add one on the C2? Yes, I'd like to see rear-mounted tractor beam on the C2 as well. CIG need to give YouTubers more content to work with. You guys have a tough job. Hats off to you. Okay, so I think we get quite a lot. So there's obviously a huge amount of community news and stuff that Clan Imperium break down inside Star Citizen, and they have the monthly reports, they have the roadmap, and they have quite regular things. I would always like more. I would like Clan Imperium to have Chris Roberts turn up more, and so yeah, more is always good. But I don't think they have to support their content creators potentially more than they already are. And like that's something that they do pretty well. I said do. They do pretty well. So I originally, when they offered me ships for giveaways, I went, no, don't want that. But they said, look, there are no strings attached to these, and we want them to give away to your community. You don't have to say anything in particular. You do with what you will, and we're not sort of like going to ask you to do anything for us other than keep on doing what you're doing, whatever. And I was like, okay, if there's no strings attached, then I'll take them. If there is ever any strings attached, I won't take your free ships to give away. But I think that sort of thing's nice. They've got a nice community hub. They try to sort of highlight content creators and stuff. Sometimes it's cool. What should I be looking forward to in the next few months? So Intergalactic Aerospace Expo mid-November. That's huge. Then 3.18. The Star Citizen financials. Potentially another letter from Chris Roberts. And those are the sort of main things that'll be happening. How much funding will CIG get this year? It will be record-breaking. Don't know exactly how much. I'm going to be able to make that assessment a lot more after this year's IAE, which I assume is going to be record-breaking in itself. But obviously lots of economies are sort of crashing and slowing down and that sort of stuff. Seawolf, thank you very much for another little donation with your upside-down little face. Very much appreciated. You star, thank you. How will it be possible to hide a base or even a large ship? Because you're not going to be able to detect them very well. They're going to be... Planets are massive, and bases are very small, and almost impossible to see them unless you detect them. So if they've got a low signature, unless you're in an exploration ship and pretty close to the ground, you're virtually not going to be able to see them. See what I mean? Would you rather spawn in your underoos and eliminate the medical gown completely? Yes. See you later, Seawolf. You're a beautiful boy. My birthday and daughter's too. Oh, congrats. Happy birthdays. Right. I appreciate people love the chair. What else have we got? Anything else? How much funding will CIG? That's what we talked about. Question. What are your thoughts on the Argo MCV? Medical Pisces and trait color. So, okay. I can't talk about some of these because of potential weave cardio leaks. Hopefully we'll see some of them at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Let's just sort of wait and see. Sorry, I can't be more specific. E2 is Genesis Starliner? No. At least not yet. Genesis Starliner is effectively an E2, I suppose. But yeah, the Spirit E1 is it's a smaller Genesis Starliner, at least gameplay-wise. When do you think the development and size of updates to the Persistent Universe will increase? I think next year, when we have server meshing and we have the resource system in, that's some major pillars. That will help a lot. I think the year after, we're going to get Squadron 42 released. And I think that then that represents the core of the game being complete. And there'll be a load of other stuff that's ready. And there'll be more of a focus on Star Citizen, while also having the sort of core and the foundation of the game done. So that will see a lot faster in the way of sort of game development speed. And it'll be quite close to something akin to a beta, which we might get the year after. What ships do you think will be on sale during the November event? Almost everything, including things like Javelin and Idris, the Pioneer, the Kraken, Privateer, all that sort of stuff. So the limited ships, those large ships, those military ships and stuff, they will be on sale in waves on their appropriate manufacturer day. Can I borrow your 890 jump? Maybe. What else? Give garbage bins and return bins to discard on my... Yes, I like the idea of garbage and trash cans, which just delete items that you can chuck stuff into. I think that's a good idea. Again, incentivize it with missions for players, or give players that drop stuff on the floor a small fine in an area. Do you think the Banning Merchantman will release for Alien Week? I think we'll see updates to the Banning Merchantman on Alien Week. I'm not sure if it will release then. I think they'll release it probably at a Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, potentially next year, if they can. Or like CitizenCon or whatever. Oh, do you hotwire an 890 jump? Nice. Can I do a shard in your 890 jump? Wow. When on sale is said, does that mean at discounted prices or just being sold? So typically it means just being sold, but when there is a big ship sale, like the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, ships, there are discounted packages available as well. But normally it's for starter packages or with a game package. Also, ships on sale, typically they're on sale for war bond prices as well, which are reduced. But they have to be with real money, not store credit. Roadmap currently has 10 unannounced vehicles on it. How many concepts do you think the IAE will have? I think we could see concepts / straight to flyable vehicles. We could see three other ones. Some vehicles. Is the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo an in-game event? Yes. So I'm expecting it to start on the Friday, the 18th of November, just because that's sort of parity to last year. In-game event-wise, to show the sort of stuff we had last year, there's an expo hall, so probably Horizon or Microtech. You'll have an expo hall that you can visit. And you'll be able to rent ships from that expo hall. There'll be lots of ships to see. Every day there's a different manufacturer that will come and show their wares. And there's parity on the website that you can buy those ships, but you also rent all of the ones that are available. You'll be able to go down to like the Hollow Suites and see some ships in development. And there might be some new stuff that's straight to flyable. It's a free fly event as well, so you can try the game for free. So a lot going on with the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. There might be some new gameplay there. There might be some like Javelin-y Tory type stuff or whatever. So we'll have to wait and see. Right. Do you have an org to recommend for casual gamers? Test, or any of the large ones are probably pretty appropriate. But it's going to be based on what sort of gameplay you want to get out of it. When will be the soonest we see ships in players' hands like the Paros, Idris, or Javelin? Sometime after the resource and system and physicalized components are in place, because they'll want to get those done out and then have them done for all the ships before getting the capital ships out. Otherwise, they have to do bits of them twice, and that just seems madness. I'm looking forward to seeing Jack's McCleary videos for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo as well, because they sort of have him doing silly Top Geary things. It's done pretty well. Right. Glad do you agree missions are fine based on littering? Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And using garbage cans. I think it's genuinely good plan. Right. Who else is actually online? So I'm off to a board game convention. I'll be getting some videos out in a little bit. I'm going to send you over Super Penguin TV. I've not seen this guy before. So I'm going to send you over to him. He looks like a cool dude. Slash Radai. Cool. I'm going to send you over to Super Penguin TV if you are on Twitch. Let me give you his... my YouTubey boy. Let me send you this so you can see. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for the subs. Looking forward to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo coming mid-November. 3.17.4 probably will drop before that, but not with all the content. So that some of that's going to be locked to the IAE. And yeah, thanks for watching. Love you guys loads. Talk to you soon. Peace. Let me actually send you over to this. Oh.